everyone, welcome. This is Channels Television's coverage of the Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi governorship elections. It's election day, and right here at your nation's trusted television station, we're bringing you all you need to know as of now. Thank you so much indeed, everyone, for joining us. We're seeing some visuals coming in already from all of the grounds where our reporters are reporting from Bayelsa to Imo to Kogi State. Bayelsa in the south-south region of the country, Imo in the southeast region, and Kogi State in the north-central region of the country. Of course, one figures, and some of those figures that are important that we need to put our eyes on are the figures on the numbers of those who have collected their permanent voter cards. This will be crucial for this election, and of course, you need to know all of those numbers that you need to calculate, disaggregate, and of course, make sense of, which we will be doing for you all throughout today as a law. I mean, almost every moment, we'll be giving you what is happening on the field, what the voters are saying, what INEC is doing, the security operatives, and what the voters' anticipation are for this election. It's another round of elections. Voters are counting on one thing, the credibility of the process, how technology is going to work, the security of lives and property, how all of these are being planned and executed. It's going to get our attention tonight, this morning, of course, and we'll be getting insight on what is going to be happening today. And of course, I have some gentlemen that will be doing some justice to for these issues for us in this beat of our coverage. I have a former DIG of Nigerian Police Force, Dr. Abila Joshak, will be joining us on this beat. And of course, Ezenwa Nwago, an election observer and a member of the board of Yaga Africa and the chair of the Partners for Electoral Reforms. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
What a day it is. Nigerians now will be able to decide in these 3 states. Let me get your opening thoughts about what do you make of this exercise?
Well, I think, Shehu, that we're back to the court-ordered. It must always be reinstated that these are court-ordered elections.
Which led us to the fact that we have to, outside of the general elections, we have to do these elections outside of the side. That's why they are called the off-season, off-cycle elections.
Yes, and because of that, the 3 states, I call them the triumvirate, as I like to put them, the triumvirate states that these elections will be holding are worrisome states in terms of the nature, the complexion, the character of the politicians in those states and the kind of temperament and temperature that they put out for the people of those states that has fed into a political economy where we say, oh, these states are violent prone. If you look at every conversation that has happened all through this process is about, oh, peace. The centrality of the conversation is on peace. Peace. Peace in Bayelsa, peace in Kogi, peace in, because the recent activities of the political actors in those states have not given cause for joy for both electoral officers, the media, and even election workers. But the thing this time around is that we are hoping that there will be a difference. We are hoping that the level of, work that has been put on by the security agencies, the Independent National Electoral Commission, indeed, the other stakeholders will play out today. It's like we've been rehearsing for a football match. The day is here
today,
and so all the things we've said will happen, and we are watching out now to see how that plays out.
I am a firm believer of the saying that elections are supposed to be the festival of our democracy.
Absolutely.
Because that is a moment when the people should go out and exercise your belief in your person and in the character of the thoughts and ideas that you have and elect you into political office. But Mr. Joshak, I've met you on the field separately when you were in the force, coordinating superintendent elections. These 3 states, as Ezenwa said, they are states to really look out for. If you are going to do a general election, these are the kind of states that you pay special attention to. And you've supervised election in these 3 states. What are your opening thoughts about these 3 states in terms of security?
In terms of security, what I have to say here is that it's an opportunity again for these 3 states. And the security agencies and those other organizations that are responsible for providing security and other requirements have an opportunity to get the best out and to get the number that is desired. In other words, the Nigerian police and other organizations that are responsible for this must ensure that this state that are standing alone is an opportunity for them to correct the wrong and to ensure that everywhere is policing in the sense that there should be adequate security, to encourage electorates, to come out and file out and cast their vote. So this is an opportunity. I believe that there's no other time than now that this election must be seen to be well policed, policed in the sense that sufficient security assuring all electorates that they are safe for them to come out and cast their vote.
Indeed. Let's begin and let's show you some footage coming in already and some of the situation on the ground. Let's take you through some of the images that we have for you. We begin with Bayelsa State, where we are getting some news. I will bring you up to speed about the boat mishap, the carrying materials to southern Ijaw, which INEC had told us that it capsized and involving about 12 personnel of his staff, and those say they are safe, but they've lost power banks and election result to that incident, and thank God that they are safe. And we also can tell you that INEC has reported that there was an abduction of an official in that state. We'll be bringing you an update on that as we know. But let's bring you some images as we see and find them as of now in Bayelsa State. What can we see? What do we know? Preparations are in top gear in Bayelsa State, and our reporters are on the field combing and around and finding what exactly is going on and seeing for us the preparation, the deployment, the early morning, movement of materials and personnel from Bayelsa to Imo to Kogi State. We are seeing some of the activities of those who are involved in this exercise. Of course, you see ad hoc officials there posting register of voters, because this is actually what you see, where you find this is the first port of call for voters. Of course, you see them going to the wall to check their names first, because when you check your name, you check your number that tallies with your name, then you go ahead. These are the early morning images coming through from the field as we have them from Bayelsa up to Imo and Kogi State. We'll be bringing you up to speed in what is happening. But let me get your view, Mr. Joshak, what is happening, especially with the issue of the abduction of an INEC official. INEC told us in a statement released late yesterday night that they have involved and informed security agencies. Hearing this kind of situation, Mr. Joshak, what do you make of it? An abduction of an INEC official?
Yes, you are aware too that you've always watched me out there in those years and those days that we conduct election. It is sometimes not completely, possible that all elections like this will not attract some other distraction, either trying to tamper with the process, with the materials, or this abduction. This should not discourage us. All of this is even expected, and because of that, this is a warning or an incident that should let security agencies and all those that are involved in policing this election to sit up and to ensure that they cover their gap. A standalone election gives opportunity for all those that are responsible for providing securities to have sufficient, adequate personnel to be able to check that this has happened. But I think that it should not draw our attention, and it should not be an issue, because I also know that the security agencies will go after those of them that did.
I know you, security expert, will say the first few hours of an abduction is very important. Yes. How crucial do you think? I mean, this could distract the security operatives who already have their eyes on their designated duty post. But how crucial is it for the early hours of the abduction period for to be able to get this person back?
Yeah, you see, like I said, when we review and when we give directive and also cross-fertilize ideas with every spare of those that are responsible to be deployed for this assignment, particularly those on the ground, they are aware that they have to watch out. And if there's an incident like this, it should not deter us. It should not discourage us, because rather it will give us a signal that we should be very careful. So I repeat that this should not be the reason why people should not come out to vote, neither a reason to discourage security agencies not to go to their beat. We should look at this and be wiser. And this is a warning and a call for all of us that we have to watch out and we have to stay. So that can be dealt with, but let it not be the reason why this election will have some issues.
So some information that we have, INEC says it's yet to ascertain the location of the abducted staff, and the abductors are yet to contact INEC for any kind of information as to the abduction of the staff. Look at what we're getting. INEC, if you put up the statement on television, my producer, so our viewers can get a sense of what is happening in Bayelsa State. Of course, INEC has released this statement and signed by the HOD Voter Education and Publicity for the INEC Rec in Bayelsa State. And of course, what we are hearing is that yesterday that there was a boat mishap, which confirmed that it was carrying election personnel to registration area 17 in Kuluama in southern Ijo, LGA. The boat capsized, and it says that fortunately no life was lost in that accident. Election personnel, numbering about 12 of them, and the boat operator were rescued successfully. But results were sheets have been lost. Power banks and luggage containing personnel or election of officials were lost in that also. And the total number of voters in the affected registration areas are 5,368, and the number of PVCs collected in that area is 5,311. And it says either making efforts to ensure the conduct of election in the affected area. They also had informed us what I was asking Mr. Joshek earlier, that the SPU assigned to registration area 06 in Osioma in Sagbama, LGA, was abducted while waiting to board a boat at Amasoma Jetty. The security agencies have been notified. This is the issue that we are contending with. But now this kind of situation, INEC says that 5,311 in contention, they will sort it out. But this is the accident that caused this issue. They've lost result, they've lost power banks. Is it a setback, and how can they quickly recover?
Well, I think INEC should be able to have planned out for eventualities of this nature. Unfortunately, how they are able to come back quickly will be important. But I know that they will, since fortunately for us, no lives were lost, and all the 12, including the operator of were rescued. The materials, power banks, there are always more than enough power banks. They should have more than enough power banks. And that is the confidence with which that statement is being made, that they will be able to quickly get back. But I think, Sheung, that the challenge for interagency consultative committee on election security is what everybody brings into that basket. Otherwise, it will have just been the lead agency that will be driving all of this. So where you have the DSS, for instance, what I think that means is that intelligence, the capacity to bring intelligence into the basket. You have all these people who play in the interagency, the military, so if we have coordination, I think that there were early warning signs and signals that had gone out before this election. The risk, you know, the risk warnings that had been put out by both civil society and others, and including that of the security agencies, should put us in a place where we can be proactive in this kind of situations. It shouldn't really take time now to be able to find that official who is, because these boasts about 20,000 deployment, 11,000 from this and that, it must mean something for Nigerian people. That as soon as these kind of situations arise, we shouldn't have a press statement that explains it away. We should now be able to say work has gone into ensuring that that particular official, because all of this is targeted at lowering morale, both for the INEC officials to feel psychological, because it's a psychological violence.
It's a setback.
No, violence first and foremost.
Yeah, psychological drop.
Yes, there's a psychological siege. There's a siege mentality that is being weaved around that. And part of the work of the security is to diffuse that siege and make sure through confidence building effort. And part of the confidence building effort is that, yes, this guy was adopted and we have rescued him. So to explain it away, does not at this material time cut the chase for me in terms of how we should respond to this. Nobody that is going into this election that didn't know that these states are testy states security-wise in terms of what we are expecting. And the signal is coming out early from Bayelsa and yesterday. So I think that at the end of the day, there has to be value for, and you know, Shehu, we've talked about, this is the first time we are doing this in this studio. We should be on ground there.
Right there in the
middle of this. We should be putting value for money. If you deployed 20,000 people, if you deployed 40,000 people, if you deployed gunboats, if you deployed helicopters and the rest of them, what are the value of those things if at the end of the day, we cannot have this? You may not be able to prevent this from happening, but all of this must mean that all this deployment,
the response time,
must help us to do something. If it doesn't, I just don't.
So let's. I mean, 5,311 votes. That is the vote in contention in that.
No, that has been said.
It's going to be taken care of.
INEC said elections we hold in those places. For it to say so, it means that for INEC to say so, it means that they can do a backup.
There's a recovery plan.
There's a recovery plan, and there should be a recovery plan.
But look at it. Yanagwa is one local government, 8 local governments in the whole of Bayelsa State. Of course, you can know that these are the collected PVCs. These are the figures that you need to put your mind to as far as what votes are up for grabs. So Yanagwa is leading in terms of the number of votes that we can lay our hands on, and the politicians will be looking at and calculating. Southern Niger, which of course is the 5,000 votes that the results that would capsize, of course INEC says it will make sure that something is done. Sagbama follows in that order. Ekeremo, Ogbia, Nembe, Bras, Kolokuma, Opokuma, local government areas. These are how things are flowing. But if we look into Imo State, for example, these are the number of permanent voters cards that are being collected, and these are how these local government, the numbers they have. Of course, Imbitoli has the highest in terms of the permanent voters card that have been collected, followed by Owerri West, Owerri North, Owerri Municipal. These are local government areas in the city center, the state capital of Imo State. But let's look at what we have in Kogi State, and let's tell you the registered voters, and of course the PVCs collected in Kogi State. Dekina is where you also need to pay attention to. The votes there matter. They are more because the PVC collected in Dekina is the highest, is about 18,400, is 184,264. That is huge. Anybody who gets 150,000, 100,000 in that state is looking good. Angpa local government areas, unfortunately, these are areas that have been designated as hotbed for this election in that state in terms of security. Okene, Lokoja, these are local government with the highest voting population in terms of the PVC that have been collected, followed by Adavi, Olamabolo, Ofu, Ajaokuta, okay, in that order, and of course, we have them in that order. So this is what we have. Of course, let's get some views from the field from my colleagues who are covering for us. Kela Megwa is standing by to give us an update of what is going on in Owerri. Kela, what can you tell us now?
Cast your vote today?
Definitely, I will. Definitely, against all odds, I will. So, it's my civic.
There are people that are saying that they're a little afraid of the security in the place. How do you feel about that?
For me, insecurity is human-made, right? If the atmosphere is clear, I'm going to vote. Even if it's not clear, I'll try to vote. And I know it's beyond me, then I can stay put.
Okay.
My polling unit is just a distance from here. And I'm preparing to walk down there right now. That's why you see me outside. INEC should redeem its image. INEC has a tattered image. They should redeem it by making sure this election is free and fair. That is what we want. We want democracy. INEC should not kill democracy. It's not enough. It's not enough to, after doing election, then you go to get a result from a court. So if we are going to get a result from court, there's no need for INEC. Then they should scrap INEC. What?
Security operators.
Even the security men, they should be up and doing. They should be neutral. They should be neutral because any party that wins the election, they will still work with the party. Do you understand? They are for Nigerians, so they shouldn't be biased. The security agency shouldn't be biased.
I'll vote.
Yes.
Is there anything wrong in voting?
Nothing at all.
Yes, I'll vote. It's my right. I have to do it.
Of course. Is anyone else here that's going to vote? Everybody? You will not vote, sir. Why? What's going on? Oh, you didn't trust it the last time. Okay, but madam, are you voting today? You're voting. All right, good luck.
Okay.
Bye.
Good morning.
Good morning. Are you voting this morning?
Yes, I'm going to the voting, ma'am.
That's where you're headed now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
so nothing will stop you today?
Nothing now. Nothing.
What about all this security talk?
No, we have almost security for here. At least government provide more security for people. At least that will help us to do the election very well.
Where's your polling unit?
Thank you, morning.
Good morning. We are at the Fire Service Junction in Imo East Senatorial District, Owerri Municipal. And we've seen quite a lot of things go on this morning. We're able to speak to at least one person who was willing to tell us that he was actually standing in front of his house and waiting to go cast his vote this morning. Oh, good morning.
Kela Megwa in Owerri Municipal in Imo State, where one of the local governments in the capital, in the capital of Imo State, in Owerri, of course. We can also let you know what is happening in Lokoja. You see the preparations ahead of the start of the exercise. We know that officially polls are supposed to commence at 8:30 a.m. according to INEC guidelines for this election. Polls start at 8:30 a.m. and is expected to end at 2:30 a.m. at 2:30 p.m. But it's also dependent on the fact that should there be anyone on the queue at 2:30 p.m., they will be allowed to vote until the last person votes who has joined the queue before 2:30. They will be allowed to vote. That is what the rules and the guidelines of INEC says. 8:30 a.m. and is voting accreditation and voting simultaneously. That is what INEC has put forward as a rule for the election. Of course, the use of beavers for voter identification, authentication of voter, and of course, it also has resident on that device, a register for that polling unit, which is linked to the polling unit. And so you cannot even take the beavers outside of the polling unit because it has been linked to that polling unit. And of course, you get accredited, you get your name marked, then you go and vote. That is what the exercise will look like. But let's tell you what is happening in Lokoja, where we're seeing some preparations, of course, where INEC officials are getting set and moving to their positions for this election. These are crucial moments. In another few minutes or so, the exercise will begin in earnest, and we can call to say voting has commenced. But for now, the preparations. This is Lokoja. Some of the images that you can see right there on your screen, and you can see this is a major rack center in Lokoja, within the capital city, and you can see ad hoc officials are getting ready in their paraphernalias and in the materials that they have with them. In all of this, one thing that is paramount on their mind is how quickly they can get to their polling unit. Usually, the polling units are not supposed to be more than 1 or 2 kilometers away from the rack center, because the rack centers are the middle point between the local government and the polling units. So allow you to disaggregate the population and the distribution effort. That is the reason for the rack centers. So some of the things that you heard from Owerri, for example, my colleague Kayla Megwa there, asking people if anything was going to stop them, asking them whether they're resolute in voting. But it looks like they are very anxious and very excited to vote.
Well, we've seen this quite a lot of times, where what's on ground is different from what is being felt outside. Where people will say, oh, nobody will come out for this election, like we've predicted, there'll be voter apathy and all of those kind of things. And then you get to the place and you find excitement. The people themselves are ready to, come out and vote in spite of whatever challenges there are. An election is not, like I keep saying, it's not a church service. That is conducted with routine and rituals. It is a competitive enterprise that has push and shove in different places. And so the governorship elections are more, subnational in its context. And so the people themselves see a connection to that election that they will even see with the general election. And that is why many times that governorship elections are more contentious, really, than the general election, because now this is us and you. But I also feel some sense of anticlimax in this election, where all the predictions of Armageddon will not happen, because the people also are conscious and are in their need of peace. So that is why you saw from Owerri, people are saying, look, we're going to go and vote, in spite of whatever challenges. And
we're seeing some of the footage there. I don't know why we can't see them right on the screen for our viewers. Of course, if we roll back those footage from Owerri for people to see what exactly is going on, you can see there is you see people, the elderly, we can see them, and how they're setting up the cubicles, because those are cubicles that where people, the voters, will enter into to cast their ballot.
You've almost become a professor of elections. So
and almost can predict what is going on. And
yes. So, but these opening periods are very important, because the punctuality index for election has more to do with how timely, all of this, and that's why there is a holding place. That holding place you call rack centers, where people now go to sleep, and then they can get out of that place to go and perform this. And what has happened is that because of the advocacy that we have put on the ground, we are not going to see much passed by the security agencies this morning. From what these footages that we are seeing, materials have been already escorted to the polling unit. But it's too early to make a call on opening of polls, yes, what percentages it is in different states. But what is cheerful is from the footage that you are showing, we are seeing that the officials are getting to. But these are city centers. And you know that where the challenge is
in the interior
are the rural backwater
areas,
communities,
yes,
where the infrastructure challenges of roads, connections in riverine places where you have seen that we will be requiring boats, and some of those challenges. And we hope, like we have also said, that the vendors, the transport vendors, are up to the task, because they play many times when in commentaries like this, you see that the attention is focused on INEC. But the challenge is that there are many people who play. If polls don't open on time, you also have the transport vendors who many times, like are paid upfront. And in this particular case, many times they are paid 100%. they can wake up and tell you that the battery.
It happened 2023
No, it just happened every day.
time.
So
on the day of election in the morning,
yes,
you just wouldn't find
them. So, but we are hoping that all of those things, yes, that the kind of advocacy that we have put on this, that they will be responsible.
Mr. Joshua,
and that
give us an understanding of the role of security agents, because a lot of people do not know that some officials are not supposed to carry arms, bear arms, within a certain perimeter. But there are those who will carry arms outside of the perimeter. Put us through what we're supposed to be saying. For example, in those footage that you're seeing right there on the screen, where do we find a police officer? When anything goes wrong, what are the standard operating procedures?
Yeah, the standard operation, the procedure for election is that armed personnel are not allowed to be seen at the vicinity where election is being, people are casting their votes. It is also stated by INEC that all they need is 3 police officers deployed, 3 security men, because you could put in the civil defense, you could put in the immigration, customs, and what have you. All they said is they need just.
Do we need immigration? Do we need customs?
Yes, we do.
At election?
Yes, we do.
Why?
Yeah, we co-opt them so that we can have sufficient security men to be deployed. The police use them. Police is just the lead agency. We bring all of these ones. And INEC would always tell you they can only cater for 3, no matter how big a polling unit is. And so we also discover that those 3 that are supposed to be in the various polling units are not expected to bear any arms. And in that case, criminals and those of them who want to tamper with the process have an opportunity to come and snatch these ballot boxes. Because these 3 policemen that I kept there, I think it's because of resources that INEC would not want to have more than 3 in a very big polling unit. And so we have a situation where criminals will look at it and discover that, after all, these police and other security agencies that are here do not have anything. And that's why they have opportunity. They use to maximize that opportunity to snatch ballot boxes. And so the police, over time, while I was with them there, we get a position where armed men will sit in a vehicle quietly and can only be called when there is an incident for them to be able to.
But usually they're supposed to carry an identification.
Yes, they are.
Either as a tag,
yes,
or as an armband, or as a lapel, just to show that they are on election duty, is it?
Yes, the first of all will be in uniform. 2, they will also have the tag to indicate. And there's always a leader.
So any police officer that is not carrying the tag is not doing the right thing.
No, he's not doing the right thing. Because VIPs, governors and others are not allowed to carry their escort armed, to take them to polling units. No. And also on election day, you are not allowed to wear the singlet or whatever of any political party. If you do that, it means you are not even allowed to campaign.
What about those security operatives who wear balaclavas, those masks? Are they supposed to mask up? No, we see some of them like that.
No, for us, I think I can understand, but they will not be.
They're your sister agencies.
Yeah. These agencies,
non-uniform security service.
Yes, non-uniform security services sometimes will tell you that they have some intelligence that they would want to test or want to prevent some of the things they've seen that will happen. And so for all the security agencies that were deployed, you cannot challenge them, but sometimes it becomes a problem because it is expected that no one that is not identified and is not supposed to be at that place should be at that place. But they have theirs, and that's why that is the gap that the Nigerian police and other security agencies must look at.
Officially, Ezenwa, polls have now opened. The hour when INEC stated in the rules for election to begin is here. 8:30 a.m. according to INEC rules and guidelines for this election is here, and officially we can call it that polls are open and voting can commence any moment from now in any of those polling units. That is a standard, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah, so yes, 8:30 polls are beginning. But, you know, looking at this footage, this is one place that we don't see the role of the party agents, clearly. Now, this setup is organized in a way that you can prevent things like when the secrecy of the ballot is being compromised. In that setup now, the way those cubicles are placed is very strategic and important. But you are not seeing that role. Nobody is bothered about.
And it's very strategic because the reasons why they are where they should be there are very critical.
No,
but buying a whole lot of
so if the cubicles are not placed in a way that it protects the secrecy of the ballot, it is the responsibility of the party agent to make a call right now and say, look, the way you have placed this cubicle does not guarantee the secrecy of the ballot. But we don't see that. But going back to what the DIG said, it's very, very important to state that the INEC is not responsible for the upkeep of the security agents who are in the polling unit. They only support. And that is why they give, since they provide money for their own officials who are in the polling unit, they give some stipend to the security agents who are there. So it's not
mandatory.
It is not because of the number. Actually, what you should have, because of the, remember in 2011, Professor Jega set up this interagency consultative committee on election security, the access. Now, the role of the access is to beef up, because the police may not necessarily have the number to be able to police the polling units.
That is true.
So you now have all those people you talked about, the immigration and the rest of them, were all brought into the interagency consultative committee on election security to help, beef up the number. And in this situation, the IG of the police at the national level is the co-chair of the access. Now, it's also important that the architecture of security provisioning within the polling unit is that you have these non-armed guys in the polling unit, and 300 meters away you have armed policemen. And like the DIG said, it is for backup when there are challenges. But the gap, Shehu, has remained the fact that and I'm sure you have seen this yourself several times, where there are infractions, the security agents will tell you that they are waiting for the INEC official to give them instruction. Which is not correct, which is not true, and should never be condoned. Because the Police Act is superior in terms of the role of the police, which gives them wide powers to be able to say, look, if a crime is being committed in your presence, you are saying you are waiting for an INEC official. And that is the gap that we have seen in the field.
One of the start points, actually, is who makes the initial call before the police is called in.
It has to be INEC.
A crime is being... if there is a crime being committed...
Let's assume it's a vote buying.
That's what I'm saying. What we have seen, and I don't want to go into that, what we have seen is collaboration in the one we are talking about. The vote buying is an industry, or that everybody plays in, including the ones who are supposed to...
The buyers, the sellers, and the onlookers.
And the ones who are to ensure that it doesn't happen. But what I'm saying is that if a crime, and DIG can correct me if I'm wrong, if a crime is being committed, I don't know where a policeman will have to wait until an instruction is given to him or her. You are seeing vote buying, you are seeing vote. So those calls, that architecture that has been set up, where you have to call for help and assistance, you wait for an INEC official to do so. That's why we see some of those infractions we see in the polling units. And And if we have to change that, we have to get to a situation in which the security agencies will do their job. And that's for me what the challenge is. And this conversation has been held with the top management of the police and say, why do you have to wait for instruction from an INEC official before you can apprehend somebody who is committing a crime within the polling unit? Or call for help if you need that help immediately.
I mean,
yes, there are gaps.
Definitely. Because that gap, as Ezenwa said, there shouldn't be anyways. I mean, if there is a crime, there is a duty of the... In fact, the Nigerian police officer is saddled with the responsibility to be able to investigate and take on any kind of crime in Nigeria.
So the IG is the most important human being in this country.
In terms of...
The IG can arrest the chief of army staff. He can arrest the chief of defense staff. The only people he cannot arrest in this country...
He can even investigate the governor and the president.
I said he can.
But he may not arrest, but he can be able to investigate even those who have immunity.
So what that tells you is that the policeman
has a lot of powers.
Is actually one of the most powerful people
and the most important
in
this process. So what a lot of people have identified as a gap, which SNY said there is actually no gap. If anybody is committing a crime, there are those who have analyzed to say on whose burden or on whose shoulder does it lie to identify whether it's a crime before a police officer is called in. But give us an understanding. Should a police officer be prompted to move in an election situation? And why is an election circumstance a bit different in terms of handling for the police?
Now, the Nigerian police does not wait to be invited to deal with any crime. But for election, this is a very special assignment. So in most cases, you do not expect police officers, because in most cases, police officers that are at the polling units are not armed. They are not allowed to bear arms.
But there are those who are outside of the perimeter who are armed.
We use our discretion when we discover that there's a time lag at when a crime is committed and where you have to call the armed men to come. And so that's a native intelligence that the police created to station armed men at a vantage point so that they can be called at short notice. That isn't even the idea of INEC, but that is just what the Nigerian police feel that they should do in order to be accountable. And so what I'm saying is police officers on duty are expected to be called upon by INEC staff to come and intervene in a crime. And so what are the crimes in election are quite different from the general offenses. And so the police officer on his own cannot just run or just live where he is in a polling unit and go to arrest. And so that's why sometimes they want a complaint from the INEC staff that, look, this is what is happening and we want you to take this man out.
Of course,
yes.
What we're saying, we're getting some images coming through from Bayelsa State, the early callers at the polling unit in the city center. Of course, we understand this is what we're getting from Yenagoa in the city capital in Bayelsa State. And of course, we'll be getting more information on the story that we reported to you earlier. Of course, we told you earlier about the statement as released by INEC telling us about the boat mishap which happened yesterday, and INEC told us that 12 of their personnel were involved in that boat mishap, and they are being rescued, but pulling materials such as results and backup power banks and luggage containing personal effects of their staff were lost in the boat that accident. The total number of registered voters in the affected registration area is 5,368, and the number of PVC collected is 5,311. INEC says it's making efforts to ensure the conduct of election in the affected state. The affected area in that region is Area 17, Kuluama, in southern Niger local government area, which has perhaps the second largest PVC collected in Bayelsa State for this election. Also, INEC has reported that there was an SPO assigned to registration area 06 in Osioma, in Sagbama local government area, that was abducted. And we're getting information that as of now, there is no information as to the whereabouts of the official, and we do not know whether or not they have made any contact with INEC. But we're monitoring what is happening. We can tell you officially the polls are resumed in the 3 states where we are monitoring the elections. Officially, the hour has come for the votes to start. 8:30 a.m. is when the voting should commence, and usually what we have is where you see the beavers machine, which looks like this iPad device right here, which is used for accreditation and identification of voters, and also confirmation to read the voter card, and of course the thumbprint of the voter, to correlate them. If they tally, then the voter is good to go and vote. So it is a collapsed, 2 processes collapsed into one, voting and accreditation done into. Every those years we used to have accreditation that would take up to about 12 o'clock or 11:30 before voting commences. But this time around, over the last few years, these are some of the innovations that have been created by INEC to say, let us move forward. But expectations are high, and you can see voting has already commenced. Some of the footage coming in from Bayelsa State, people already been scanned, isn't why you can see. Beavers is working as far as the eyes can see for now, and we do hope that there will be some improvement. But in terms of improvement, what are you looking at from the departure from the 2023 election, the positives that we can take from that?
Well, for me, we didn't have problem with the beavers in 2023, and it's always very important to state that the beavers was not part of the challenge. That
they said it was a game changer, and it did the work.
It did the work, and you know that yourself because you've come very far in this. So before that, you talked about voting accreditation and what it used to be in the past. And these are part of the times that we are very uncharitable to ourselves, as media and civil society. We own that innovation. We remember that people will have to accredit themselves and go home and come back. Through our observation in the field, we were able to let INEC know that many people who went back, especially in the communities, never came back because they go back to their farms and they just stay put there. And that caused some level of, lack of participation, which the electoral process is supposed to enhance. And so we made that call, and it happened. It's always important to underscore these points. And those are some of the incremental shifts that we are seeing. But one beautiful thing that I'm seeing away from 2023 is a timely communication, because that was the gap. That was the real gap. In terms of, for instance, this mishap in Yenegua, the adoption, we are seeing INEC, immediately informing and saying this has happened and this is what we're going to do. It is now our responsibility to follow up to see. But what we saw in 2023 was that they said there were issues and people kept mum for nearly 48 hours. There was no communication, and then conspiracy theorists
started flying out. Just for a moment, let me go straight to Owerri, where our correspondent Dare Idowu is standing by to bring us up to speed and show us what exactly is going on. Dare, what can you tell us? Good morning. What is going on there in Owerri?
I know. Yes.
We'll get to Dare. Okay, of course, you can see him there right there, waiting to give us some information. If Dare can hear me now, Dare, can you bring us up to speed in the coverage of the election where you are? Where are you and what exactly is going on there? We'll get back to him in just a moment when we're able to get more connection, better connection with them. But from what we see in terms of the initial look of things, Dr. Joshak, yes, what are your views?
Well, it does appear as if there's going to be some respite.
So far?
Yes, because...
it's too early to call, though.
Yes, Frank Mba is a very Polish police officer, an officer that has been exposed to most of these elections. He is holding brief in Imo, the DIG, Frank Mba. And I expect that a lot of seminar and symposium that he had, I'm expecting him to take charge properly, because the ability to be able to prevent some of these things that are happening is there. I used to head the mobile police in Bayelsa and Rivers before the creation of Bayelsa. And recently also I was out there also for election. I understand the terrain. And we expect that the military, the other organizations, the police, the even customs have some boats. Well, I expected that some of those things should have been on those water. And so yesterday incident should have not happened. Even the police, we have boats and gunboats. And I expected that they should have dominated, they would have dominated that area. So it's unfortunate that there was a gap like that, and that there was a kidnap, and there was also a boat mishap. I know that there's something wrong somewhere. Otherwise, we're not supposed to have those things.
Let's get what the voters are saying. This is from Bayelsa State. Voters' views on the exercise. Take a listen to them.
My name is Teresa John.
So what's happening right now?
I'm going to my polling unit.
So are you ready to vote today? Are you excited about it?
Yes, yes.
So you're going to INEC now?
Yeah.
All right, and you're trekking down?
Yes. So
like how long will it take you to trek?
I don't really know, because I've not trekked before.
All right, thank you so very much.
Welcome.
Tell me what is happening.
We're actually here to exercise our votes. So right now we are trying to check our names for our various units before we go out.
So have you seen your name yet?
No, not yet, but I've actually seen my mom. So.
All right, okay, all right, thank
There's some of what is going on in Yanagwa in Bayelsa State. Let's touch base again with Owerri in Imo State, where our correspondent Dare Idowu is standing by to speak to us on what is going on. Dare, if you can hear me now, can you hear me now, Dare?
Clearly.
Oh, fantastic! Now it's good that we can hear you. What is going on? Are things looking up where you are? Where are you exactly? If you can bring us up to speed.
In municipal on round on and down into the that other bit we're battling with logistics. They couldn't move on time. Apparently the drivers were insisting that they needed to be paid before that movement happened, but we left that part around 8 a.m. and by that time there were still some officials still hanging around the place. So then after that we moved around this Owerri Municipal, where we saw heavy security presence, especially on major roads in the city. Of course, it's a day that a lot of people, residents of Imo State, have been waiting for, and the day is here. Where I am, this particular primary school, Ward 4, has 7 polling units, and that is what you can see going on right now. The setting up took a bit of time as well. Polls were actually expected to start by 8:30. From what just happened here, officials are still taking people through the process, showing them the beavers, explaining to them how the accreditation will work. People are still checking their names. It's the normal early hour or early minute drill, if you like to say that, of the election process. And that is what is going on here. Apparently, from what we've also seen here, the cubicle is set up. Everything seems set, but no one has voted yet. Before this live crossing, we saw people just waiting as well, ready for the exercise. I had a chat with some of the voters, people around here who said, well, in a way, they wait a bit, probably would have their breakfast before coming to vote. So aside the fact that the setting up may have taken a bit of time, I think people are also waiting to see.
Interesting. But Dara, if you're still with us, maybe I can jump in quickly to find out from you. Of course, security is part of the expectations and how things pan out in terms of the work and the duties of the security officials. What can you tell us? We understand that the exit and the entrances to the different states where elections are happening, like Imo State, are supposed to be shut to movement. There's a curfew period from about midnight to later about 6 p.m. What can you see? What can you tell us in terms of security?
But because I only bought things are in and
it seems we are losing Dara so fast. But Dara, please stay safe, and we'll come back to you as much as we can to get some more update. But let's go to Bayelsa State with our correspondent Chris Illems, who is standing by in Yaragua. Chris, our eyes are being in Bayelsa State because of some of the stories that are coming in. But in terms of what you can see, where you are at right now, what can you tell us?
Sean, good morning, Nigerians. Well, we came in here quite early, and incidentally, INEC was already on ground. You know, the Rex said it yesterday that you would be surprised that when you come here, you meet us. They came in very, very early. Unlike 4 years ago when people were waiting for INEC, they were actually here waiting for the people. But the good thing is that the people also came in. Maybe they decided to come have their breakfast here, not at home. So right now, accreditation has actually started. You can some of the ad hoc staff, they've briefed the electorate, the voters, on what to do. This is actually Shogi, a polling unit right here in Yenegua. Voting is started already, and people are lined up. They are actually observing the rules and regulations. There's nothing like any crisis, no challenge here. But the initial thing was that we didn't see security officials enough, even though as early as possible. But right now, we can see the presence of some of the NSCDC persons around here. Then we can also see, we can also see FRSC people. They are also here. But we've not really seen the police on the ground. We've not seen the police on the ground. So we wonder what is actually happening.
Jumping quickly.
Hopefully, this place should be very peaceful.
We have little information coming in from INEC as of now in respect of the incident. But what are you hearing? Is there any more information that you can tell us about the boat mishap?
We haven't gotten further information of that. And we need to be very, very careful about misinformation and disinformation. We've heard people say it happened around Sagbama, some says Brass. We just want to wait and be sure. We want to hear from police if the incident happened, or even from INEC where it happened, so we are able to give the correct information. But right now, we don't have that information at the moment, but we do know that materials are still being sent out to various localities, and that INEC is actually on top of their game at the moment.
All right, Chrissy Lems, our correspondent in Yanagua, reporting live for us. We're at the top of the hour. Of course, I must sincerely thank my guest, Dr. Abila Joshak, former DIG, and Ezenwa. Let's get your final thoughts on what we can see and hear from my colleagues on the field quickly, just in about 30 or 40 seconds so that we can toss to Lagos.
It's always important to know that what we are dealing with are security agents, not police, because many times that confusion is there. That, oh, I didn't see police. You may not see police, you will see security agents. And those security agents could be any of those folks that he mentioned. So it's also very important. But like I said, it's a big day. A big day for those states, big day for all the actors, the security. But like I keep saying, we must, in the course of this conversation today, continue to put the leg of the political class and the politicians on the fire. Because all the infractions that are going to happen, whether it's a kidnap of officials or any of those things, are perpetuated by the people that we give comfort to, which are the politicians. And ensure that we make sure that their temperament, like I said, creates the kind of temperature that we need for this election to be good.
Thank you so much. Dr. Joshak, your final thought.
Yes, I want to encourage the security agencies that are responsible for the protection of all electorates and other people that are involved in this election, that it is their responsibility to do everything possible to ensure that this election is free and fair and people given an opportunity to cast their votes. Because all electorates would look at the security agencies, those that are deployed. They must be up and doing, and they must ensure that this election is not tampered with.
Dr. Abila Joshak, a retired Deputy Inspector General of Police, thank you so much indeed for joining us. And Ezewa Nwagu, a very good, my very two good friends here, right here. We've been on election field together, and here we are in the studio talking about this exercise in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi State. Thanks so much, gentlemen, for coming this morning.
Thank you for
And of course, Channels Television continued coverage of these 3 elections. Continue. And my colleagues in Lagos are standing by, Bukola Koka and, of course, Ayo Makine. Both of them will be taking over to drive you through this journey, to take you through Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi State, and, of course, give you a sense of what is going on. And as we cover from these states and give you updates on what is happening and the latest, it's now time to toss to Lagos and see what my colleagues and how they drive this part of the divide.